Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Vishesha Sunyari Pachata Vishata Adhura Bhutara Bhutara Anukavarato Sankirtane Kapitara Puranatato Ishvambara Vijitaro Yogadama Paro Ande Jaga Priyafero Karundavataro Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyacha, Kripa Sindhu Devacha, Patitanam Padanabhyo Vaishnava Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Sarasvati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Prachacharya Shatani. La lune,
the moon
c'est comme de la douceur.
Is like sweetness.
Lorsqu'il fait très chaud,
when it's really hot,
très chaud.
Really hot.
En Inde, c'est 56 degrés.
In the air, it's 60 degrees Celsius. It's very hot.
Vous mouillez une écharpe sur la tête.
You put a wet chadder on your head, and then you stay fresh. But it's really, really hot.
Et la lune,
And the moon,
c'est quelque chose qui libère.
it is something that liberates from suffering.
Parce que dès qu'on se
Because
retrouve
as soon as we find
un
ourselves
soir, avec une brise fraîche
with
et la lune,
a fresh breeze and the
alors on
moon,
sent
then we
une
feel
libération de la souffrance.
liberation from suffering,
Et alors on devient humble.
and we become humble.
De la même manière,
In the same way,
les pieds au cœur du Seigneur,
the feet of the Lord,
leurs ongles
their nails,
sont comme des lunes.
are like moons,
Mais pas une lune.
but
Des milliers
not
de
one
lunes
moon,
combinées.
millions of moons
Parce que
combined
lorsqu'on
together.
voit
Because when we see
les pieds très attirants et
the
très
very
doux
attractive,
du Seigneur,
soft feet, sweet feet of the
alors
Lord,
on devient rempli
then we
d'une
become
félicité
filled with
qui ne
bliss
peut pas être exprimée,
that cannot be
même
expressed
par l'infini.
even through the infinite.
Parce que le corps
Because the
transcendantal
transcendental body,
qui est obtenu par
which is
la
obtained
miséricorde de Dieu,
by the mercy of the Guru,
il peut
it can
boire,
drink,
toucher,
touch,
goûter,
taste,
sentir
feel,
d'une manière
smell, in a way
infinie
that is infinite,
la beauté du Seigneur.
the beauty of the
C'est
Lord.
pourquoi
This is why
lorsque Narottam Das Thakur
when Narottam Das
parle
Thakur,
des pieds pareils
he
aux
speaks
pieds
about
de
the lotus
Nityananda,
feet of
il parle pas
Nityananda,
d'une lune.
he doesn't speak about one
Parce que
moon,
son expérience, c'est pas
because his
une lune.
experience is not just one moon.
Son expérience,
His experience,
c'est des millions, des
it is
millions.
millions and millions and millions of moons.
Parce que le
Because
Seigneur est infini
the
en
Lord is
réalité.
infinite in reality.
Et lorsque
And
un
when
dévot se retrouve
a devotee finds
dans une
himself
situation,
in a
dans un
situation,
rapport spirituel,
in a
dans
spiritual
le demeure du
body,
Seigneur,
in
où
the
il se
abode of the
retrouve
Lord,
face à
where he
face au
finds
Seigneur,
himself face to face with the
alors
Lord,
il est emporté
then he is carried away
par des qualités illimitées.
by unlimited qualities.
C'est pourquoi
This is why
c'est comme
it is
une
just
mise en
like
pouvoir infini.
infinite empowerment,
Et le temps
and the
peut
time
s'arrêter
can stop
pour permettre aux dévots
to allow for the devotee
de déguster
to
la beauté du Seigneur.
savor
C'est pourquoi
the beauty of the Lord. This
il
is
y a
why
des millions d'aspects
there are millions of
que le
aspects
Seigneur, que le dévot peut voir.
that the devotee can
Et
taste.
ça, c'est quelque chose qui est
And this is something that is
parce que les
inconceivable,
associés du
because the
Seigneur
associates
sont
of the Lord are so powerful
ils peuvent,
that they can,
même comme
even-
s'ils se multipliaient à l'infini,
even it's just like they will multiply to the infinite, to be allowed to be able to taste this Lord of love. And Nitai is very merciful
parce qu'il se donne
because he gives himself
comme un océan.
like an ocean.
Il se donne complètement.
He gives himself completely. This is why Narottam speaks about millions of moons.
C'est une
And
façon
even this is a way of
d'arriver.
speaking because it is even more.
L'expérience, c'est plus que
The experience, it's even more than millions of moons.
Parce que ça
Because
plonge
it plunges the devotee
dans un océan
in an
de
ocean
miséricorde.
of mercy.
Il se noie
He drowns himself
par la miséricorde du Seigneur.
through the mercy of the Lord. He goes back on the surface. He drowns himself infinite
Sans pouvoir avoir
without end,
le pouvoir
without being
de
able
faire quoi que
to have
ce
the
soit
power
par
to do
lui-même.
whatever on his own.
Il devient
He becomes dominated,
contrôlé par la
controlled
miséricorde du Seigneur.
by the mercy of the Lord.
Donc, cette
So
expérience,
this experience,
c'est des millions de
it is millions of moons. Not just one moon, but millions of moons.
Parce que partout où apparaît une
Because
lune,
everywhere where a moon appears,
on peut aussi la goûter.
then we can also taste it.
C'est quelque chose qui ne peut pas être compris.
It is something that cannot be understood without having the experience, in fact, of the darshan of the Supreme Lord. It is not possible. Only a person with a transcendental body that can see this Lord of love, he can understand this process, how the devotee is empowered to taste.
C'est vraiment
It's really
s'immerger
to immerse oneself in the sweet feelings that are inconceivable, to the
que le
point
dévot,
where the devotee,
par son sentiment,
out of his feeling,
ça devient comme un baume
it becomes like a balm
qui recouvre la propre forme
that
du Seigneur.
covers the own form of the Lord.
Et il se met à
And he
adorer
starts to worship
avec ce parfum
with this fragrance
le corps du Seigneur,
the body of the Supreme Lord,
le masser,
to massage him,
le laver,
to wash him,
l'essuyer,
to dry him,
lui offrir des fruits
to offer him fruits,
et
and
l'adoration à travers
the
la
worship through incense, the ghee lamp, etc.
Tout ça
All of this,
par tous les sentiments
through all the
que
feelings
vont exprimer
that
ces
will
sens
that
transcendants.
these transcendental senses will express.
Donc,
So
on peut comprendre
we can
de
understand
telles personnes
that such personality,
qui, dans les divertissements de
who
Radha Krishna, ont des
in the
formes
pastimes of Radha and Krishna have feminine
et qui
forms,
peuvent masser leurs
and who
pieds
can
à
massage
un
their
certain
feet
moment,
at a certain moment,
la qualification.
the
Donc, c'est
qualification.
pas une lune,
It's not one
c'est
moon,
des millions.
it's millions of moons.
Parce que le Seigneur
Because the Lord,
se donne,
He gives Himself.
il se donne.
He gives Himself.
C'est le désir qui
It is the
apparaît
desire that
dans le
appears
cœur du dévot
in the heart of the devotee
d'adorer ses pieds.
to worship His feet.
Et à ce moment,
And then
toute la miséricorde
all the
du Seigneur
mercy of
se
the Lord, it happens.
C'est pourquoi, juste deux lignes,
This is why just 2 lines,
c'est déjà complètement impossible.
it's already completely inconceivable.
On avance.
We move forward.
En recevant l'ombre rafraîchissante
By
du refuge
receiving
transcendantal de ses pieds par Exodus, l'univers entier, brûlé par les
The
souffrances
entire
du feu de
universe
l'existence
burned by the
matérielle, peut
suffering
devenir
of the material
entièrement
existence
soulagé
can
et
become
apaisé.
completely suited from
Donc
this
là,
suffering. So
le
then
dévot,
the devotee,
il se met
he starts,
dans une conception de
he puts
miséricorde.
himself in a conception of
Tout le monde
mercy.
souffre.
Everyone suffers in this world.
Mais,
But
à cause de l'ignorance et de la
because of
passion,
ignorance
on
and
ne peut pas le
passion,
voir.
we cannot see it.
Même pour respirer,
Even to breathe, it's difficult.
on mange,
We eat,
parfois on a mal au ventre,
sometimes
quelque
our
chose
stomach
qui va
hurts. There's always something that doesn't go,
Toutes les
that
formes
goes
de
well.
bonheur qu'on
All
a,
forms of happiness that we
elles
have,
sont aussi une forme de
they're
souffrance.
also a
On
form
peut
of
pas
suffering,
s'en
but we
apercevoir.
cannot perceive it.
Parce que dans le corps
Because in the
spirituel,
spiritual
il n'y a
body,
aucune forme de
there's no form of suffering.
Même quand on peut,
Even
même
when
si
we-
on devait courir
Even if we would have to
100
run
kilomètres,
100 kilometers,
on n'aurait pas ressenti.
we could not feel suffering
Parce que tout nous
because
vient en aide.
everything comes to help us.
C'est la nature du monde.
This is the nature of the transcendental world.
Donc, lorsque le
So,
Seigneur apparaît,
when the Lord appears,
et qu'il vient,
Yada Yada
dans
Hida
cette
Matyan, he
forme de
comes in
miséricorde,
this form of mercy.
alors
Then
son désir, c'est de soulager la souffrance de tous les
the desire is to soothe the suffering of all living
Et c'est pour
beings.
ça qu'il vient dans
And
une
this is
forme
why he
très
comes
miséricorde.
in a very merciful form.
On voit par exemple dans
We see,
l'épisode
for
de
example,
Jagai et
in the
Madai.
episode of Jagai and Madai.
Donc Jagai et Madai,
So Jagai and
ils
Madai,
étaient
they were
deux bandits féroces
2 ferocious
qui tuaient
bandits
des gens,
who were killing
qui
people
pillaient toutes les maisons.
and who were like stealing every house. They were always drunk.
Et
And The Lord, He told Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. So Haridas Thakur is the combination of the Lord Brahma with Prahlad Maharaj, who comes accompanied. He comes to accompany the pastimes of the Lord. He came in a very humble appearance because when the Lord came as Krishna, Brahma tested the Lord by removing his friends and his calves. So he came back in a very humble way. And especially, he received a particular darshan of Krishna. Before, he didn't have this qualification for the sweet feelings of love, for the sweetness of Krishna. But after taking away the illusion from him, to be thinking he is the controller, the creator and the universe, then he was able, he received a special mercy. And he was able to see the sweetness of the Lord. And then he offered prayers. Very beautiful. Your feet are so sweet, so sweet. In your form of opulence of Narayan, you have very beautiful earrings in the form of alligators. But now, your Gunjaberry's earring, they surpass your opulence. You're so beautiful, so attractive, so wonderful. I desire your feet. This is, you are the one I want. You conquered me. And then Brahma, he obtained the qualification, his qualification, because in the transcendental world he is a gopi. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he reveals that in the Brahma Samhita. And each Brahma in each universe, they don't have the same position. It is explained that there are even some Brahmas that are impersonalists in certain universes. But in our universe, he's a pure devotee. So that's why he is at the origin of a sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, which becomes the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he rejoins this sampradaya, it is called Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And this sampradaya, it gives a very sweet, very rare feeling to obtain. We were speaking about massaging the feet of the Lord and massaging the feet of Shri Radha. Such servants they have particular positions in our disciplic succession. However, by the grace of Nityananda, such feelings are available, can be obtained. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, when Krishna appeared, Krishna says, Yatamam prapadyante. I reciprocate with the feeling of the living entities. What is our feeling right now? What do we desire? And how the Lord can reciprocate with our desire? Our feeling must be pure for Him to reciprocate with us. Because He reciprocates, He doesn't force. This is love. Love, we never force. We reciprocate. This is the real love. The Lord, He has this quality of being detached. At the same time, He loves us more than He Himself, and at the same time, He is detached. Because we must have this liberty, this freedom. Without freedom, we are machines. Without free will, we are machines. Artificial intelligence is a machine because it doesn't have a free will. It is controlled simply because you programmed her in a certain way. But on her own, it cannot exist.
Vous êtes pas des
However,
machines.
you're not machines.
Vous avez un
You
libre
have
arbitre.
a free will.
Et ce libre arbitre-là,
And this free will,
il va déterminer tout.
it will determine your whole life.
Aujourd'hui,
Today,
le lien que vous avez avec le
the
Seigneur,
relationship that you have with the Lord is simply your free will, in which way you reciprocate with
c'est
it.
pourquoi certains
That
voient
is why certain
et
see
certains ne voient pas.
and certain people don't
Certains
see.
sentent,
Certain feel and certain don't feel.
certains ont la foi,
Certain have faith,
certains l'ont pas.
certain don't have it.
Il ne fait que réciproquer.
He only
Si vous
reciprocates.
voulez être loin de lui,
If you can be far away
alors
from
il
him,
réciproque.
then he
Il
reciprocates.
s'écarte.
If you want
Vous ne
to,
pouvez pas rien voir.
he distances himself. You cannot see
Et
anything.
pourtant,
But
il est au
still,
plus profond de votre
is
cœur.
in the deepest
C'est
recesses of your
l'être le
heart,
plus près.
is the being that is the
Mais
closest
tant
to
que
you.
l'indépendance est là,
But as long
que
as
le
the
libre
independence
arbitre
is there and the
est
free
mal
will
dirigé, on ne
is
peut rien
wrongly
voir.
directed, we cannot
Rien
see anything,
ressentir.
not feel
Rien
nothing,
goûter.
taste nothing, touch nothing,
Impossible.
impossible.
Et dès que on reçoit
But
la
as soon
grâce
as
du
we
Seigneur
receive the
suprême,
grace of the Supreme Lord,
et que le résultat
and
de
the
nos
result
actes passés
of our previous actions,
arrête de nous entraîner
it stops from
dans des désirs
bringing
qui
us
nous écartent
and
de
desires
cette
that are
relation
distancing us away from
éternelle.
this eternal
À ce
relationship.
moment-là,
Then
on commence
we
à
start
ressentir
to feel
cette miséricorde.
this mercy.
Et c'est comme des rayons.
And it's just like rays of love.
Avant, on souffre.
Before we're suffering,
Et on commence à
and we
être
start to be
libéré de
liberated
l'identification
from the identification with the
des
body,
désirs
from
qui
desires
apparaissent dues aux
that appear due
réactions
to
des
the reactions of previous
Et
activities.
on commence à être
And
libre
we start to be
de
free,
réaliser
to
que
realize who we are
dans le monde transcendant.
in the transcendental
C'est
world.
ça,
This is the mercy of Nityananda. Is Guru Tattva? Guru Tattva means what?
Il est là
He is there
pour vous purifier,
to purify
pour
us,
vous libérer.
to liberate you,
Et surtout,
and especially
pour vous accompagner
to
dans la
accompany you
relation
in the
éternelle
eternal
que vous avez
relationship that you have
avec lui.
with Him.
C'est pourquoi Balaram,
That's why
il est
Balaram
présent sous
He is
toutes les
present
races.
in all rasas.
Shantaras,
Shantaras,
le lit de Krishna,
the
le
bed
lit
of Krishna, the pillow of
Il
Krishna.
manifeste les planètes,
He manifests
les
the
associés du
planets, the
Seigneur.
associates of the Lord,
Masculin.
masculine.
Il prend différentes formes.
It takes different forms also.
Ram,
Ram,
Narayan,
Narayan,
Sankarshan,
Sankarshan,
Mahasankarshan,
Mahasankarshan, Ashesha,
Shesha.
Shesha.
Et il
And
prend les formes aussi.
It takes the form also of Mahavishnu,
Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Shirodakshay
Garudakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay
Et
Vishnu.
Shirodakshay Vishnu se manifeste
And Garudakshay Vishnu, they manifest from them different avatars from Kshirodakshay Vishnu, like Matsya, Kurma.
Tout vient de ceci.
Everything comes from this Lord.
Krishna, il ne fait
Krishna, he only
que par plaisir.
takes pleasure.
Il ne se manifeste
He manifests himself as Balaram,
Shiva.
as Shiva.
On ne va pas rentrer dans tous ces détails.
We won't enter into all these details. But the same Lord,
Il vient dans une
he
forme
comes in a
tellement
such
miséricorde.
a merciful form.
Ganga lui dit,
Gauranga
tous
tells
ceux
him,
que tu vois,
all those you see,
dis-leur de chanter,
tell them to chant Krishna,
d'adorer,
to worship Krishna,
d'étudier ce Christ.
to study on Krishna.
Donc, le
So,
Seigneur lui-même,
the Lord himself,
dans une humilité qu'on
in,
peut
in
même
a
pas
humility
imaginer,
that we cannot even
c'est
imagine,
impossible à comprendre. Ce
it's
Seigneur
impossible
qui
to
est
understand this Lord that is at the origin of all universes as
il est
Mahavishnu,
l'origine de
is
toutes
the
les
origin
planètes
of all the spiritual
spirituelles,
planets, and he
comme un
comes
mendiant.
like a beggar.
Le Seigneur
The Lord,
lui dit,
he tells him,
distribue,
distribute my mercy,
distribue.
distribute.
Aucune discrimination.
No discrimination whatsoever.
Mais qu'est-ce que pense Nitai?
But what Nitai was thinking, what was he thinking?
Nitai, il aime
Nitai, he loves
le
Gaura,
Seigneur Chaitanya.
Gaura Hari, the Lord Chaitanya
Parce que le
Mahaprabhu.
Seigneur Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
And the Lord Chaitanya
il est
Mahaprabhu,
Krishna
he is Krishna,
qui délaisse sa justice.
who lets go of his justice. Yatama Prabhadanate, no more justice. He becomes intoxicated
par la position de Radharani.
by the position of Radharani. He takes this position.
Il goûte ses sentiments.
He tastes her feelings
Et il pleure.
and he cries
Parce qu'il vient pour
because
un
he comes
sentiment particulier.
for a particular feeling, to experience separation from Radharani. He didn't taste only this sometimes. Nityananda Prabhu also was in the mood of a servant. Everything is possible because everything exists in the Lord. All the feelings, they manifest. It is explained the Lord doesn't have desires, but it's like a pot of milk when the milk overflows on its own. His desires don't have any cause but Him. He's not an ordinary being, He's unlimited, eternal. However, when He distributes Himself like this, He cries. He says, "Where is Krishna? Where's my Krishna?" And He cries. And He asks for help. And this help, what is it? It is His mercy. Because he becomes blinded. Usually, He comes according to the qualification of a person, but who is qualified? Nobody, especially in this age of Kali. Everybody is full of faults. We're subjects there to mistake. We have imperfect senses, etc. We cannot see the opposite. We close the light, we don't see nothing. How many times did we cheat ourselves? Did we cheat others? We even wanted it. And sometimes we even regretted it. Sometimes you can tell it, or sometimes we cannot because we're taken in a trap. We can even believe that what we saw in a dream was a reality, that our thinking was a reality, and accuse people whereas nothing happens. Everything is possible. Why? Because we are in a form of illusion. When we are conditioned by matter, we are in a form of illusion. So we cannot attain Krishna. To attain Krishna, we have to be 100% pure. We have to be a Siddha. Impossible. But in this mood, he doesn't see. And Nitai is this magnanimous person which brings all living entities to change their free will and to make them desire mercy. This is why this Guru Tattva is very powerful, very powerful. And in this form of Balaram Nitai, he has a plow. What is this plow? The plow, it can cleanse the heart, take away all the faults, make it pure, sculpt it, and allow us to become pure. This is why the principle of Guru Tattva, it descends through this personality, under the form of the Vaishnavas, under the form of the associates of the Lord, who come to allow for living entities to be able to experience what even Brahma himself cannot experience. It's a way of speaking because Lord Brahma, he can have this experience. But even the demigods, this is why, where Nitai is, there cannot be the fire of material existence. There can be a fire of purification, but not due to the reactions of our activities. There can be a fire of mercy to burn all the bad things that are within us. This is why Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that the devotee of the Lord, when he suffers, is not subjected to the previous karma. The one who is Madhyamadikari, who has the seed of prema in his heart. He is a devotee. He cannot be anything else but a devotee. But the imperfections are there. He's not doing that out of his own. But it is explained that the Supreme Lord can create obstacles express, especially to take away things that the devotee cannot even perceive, or who is still attached. So it creates a situation so that everything goes away, and this is the beauty. Often we can think that our desires are our reality, but in truth, our desires, they take us away from our eternal reality. So we cannot, on our own, attain this perfection because our desires, they take us away. We cannot do any other way. And when the obstacle comes, the Lord puts a break. And then our desires, they start to make us suffer. We realize that we don't have our place here. Everything goes away. All the objects of our attachments, they reject us. At the beginning, we don't understand. Why? 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 But at the same time, we cannot stop. Because we feel that there is something that will come, and which is much more superior. But when we don't have enough pious activities from previous lives, then sometimes we don't understand. So it takes time. We lament against the mercy that the Lord puts upon us. We don't understand, we don't accept. But still, as soon as we accept, we see. So it takes some time in between the acceptance and seeing. Because the acceptance is not once we accept and after we know. Acceptance means we understand once and for all. And then we see the Lord appearing in the reactions of all of our life. And then we become a Madhyamadikai. We can completely surrender and gradually obtain the attachment for Krishna and become liberated from the actions of our previous actions. From there, then the Lord appears in our heart. Krishna's word appears in our heart. Shri Radha appears in our heart. And then we attain a stage where we can enter in the abode of the Lord and learn who we are. We can see directly. Others can speak to us. We can do a service. This is the goal of life. Once we attain this, we don't ever go back to before. We never go back to illusion. Because this platform, eternal platform, it is not limited. Like in the material world. The body stays eternally young. We have senses, like we explained, that have a power that is unlimited. And since the Lord is always in expansion, then our happiness is always in expansion. Every moment it's new. Every moment it's more wonderful. And at the same time, even under this intoxication unlimited, we can do a service. Because everything is feelings. And when our form is a feeling, then everything connects. And we come in contact with beings that are unlimited also, like flowers. And we can do a service through the flowers. Everything is personal. Everything participates. The water, the wind, the trees, everything is impregnated with the feelings. This is the transcendental world. Nitai comes. And he comes even to break the last dam, barrage of the Supreme Lord. He breaks that dam so that everyone can be liberated. It's very powerful. It's super powerful. When we meditate on this aspect of the Supreme Lord, we obtain such mercy. We have to be touched by His mercy. This is why we must pray Nitai. If Nitai is merciful towards us, we obtain everything. Even if we're the worst rascal. The worst. The proof is Chakai and Badai were the worst. What did he think, Nitai? When he saw them,
c'était phénoménal.
it was phenomenal
Parce que il avait-
because
c'était énorme.
it was enormous.
Dans leur vie passée,
In their previous lives, they were Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, etc. They're big demons. We're not entering into the details,
Mais c'était extraordinaire.
but it was
Il
extraordinary.
n'y avait pas de personnage.
There were no
aussi
characters
dégradé, aussi
such
puissant.
degraded, such powerful.
Personne ne pouvait l'arrêter.
Nobody could stop them.
Et là, il s'est dit,
And then he told himself,
si on les délivre,
if we deliver them,
le Seigneur va être
the Lord will be
glorieux.
glorious.
Il va être honoré
He will be honored
par le titre
by the title Patita Pavan, the Savior of the fallen
Tout
souls.
le monde acceptera.
And then
la
everybody will accept the mercy of Chaitanya
C'était le
Mahaprabhu.
plan de
It was the
Nitai.
Nitai's plan.
C'était son plan.
It was his plan.
Il ne voulait pas se glorifier.
He didn't want to glorify
Il est
himself.
Guru Tattva.
He is Guru Tattva.
Il amène tout le monde.
He brings
au service
everybody
éternel.
to the eternal service.
C'est juste ça qu'il veut.
This is just what he wants.
Donc, il a approché
So,
avec Haridas
he
Thakur,
approached with
ces
Haridas
deux
Thakur these two drunkards,
bandits,
these bandits, these thugs, and he told them,
chantez le nom de
chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, study about Krishna. Krishna is our life. Krishna is our soul, is everything, our father, our mother. Accept him.
Et là, ils sont retournés.
And then they turned. What?
Quoi?
What?
On va vous tuer!
We'll kill you.
Commencez
And then they started
à courir.
to...
Mais le point,
to run
c'est
after them.
Haridas Thakur,
So the point is,
il était
Haridas Thakur, he
plus
was
vieux que Nityananda.
older than
Il
Nityananda.
ne pouvait pas courir
So he could not run
très vite.
very fast.
Certains acharyas, ils-
Certains acharyas explain this.
Donc, bien qu'ils étaient ivres,
So although they were drunk, Jagan Madai, they were big,
mais c'était pas si simple de les
it
distraire.
was not so simple
À un
to
moment, parce qu'ils se
escape from them.
fatigués,
But that's simple because they were tired.
et ils ont arrêté.
They
Et
stopped.
là, ils se sont
And
dit,
then they
on a
told themselves,
échappé
oh wow,
à la mort.
we escaped death.
C'était un divertissement.
It's a pastime. Haridas Thakur was laughing and Nitai also.
Et donc, ils avaient reçu l'instruction
And so they
de
received
Mahaprabhu
instruction from
de tous les
Mahaprabhu
jours faire un rapport.
every day to make a report. Every day. So that's why, for example, when we distribute books, we give the report of the preaching in the
Parce que c'est
morning.
l'ordre du Seigneur
Because it's the
Chaitanya
order of the Lord
Tous les
Mahaprabhu.
temples
All the Gaudiya temples, they do that.
On raconte au Seigneur ce qu'on
We
a
tell
fait
the
de
Lord what we did, our preaching.
Parce qu'il voulait que tous les âmes soient
Because he wanted
sauvées.
all
Il voulait entendre
the souls to be saved. And he wanted to hear the result. How many souls did you save, Nitai?
Ça, c'est mon nectar.
This is my nectar.
Hein? Et là, il a parlé de Jaga et Madai.
And then he spoke about Jagai and Madai to Lord Mahaprabhu.
Hein? Et donc,
And
ils ont
then
dit, en fait,
they said,
c'est des personnes qui sont nées dans
these are
une
personalities that were born in a very exalted family of Brahmanas.
Mais on ne sait pas
But
pourquoi.
we don't know
depuis leur
why.
naissance, ils
Since
sont
their birth,
dégradés.
they are degraded, completely degraded.
Et c'est pas dit, parce qu'il est omniscient.
And because the Lord is omniscient, he said,
Oui, je connais tout.
yes, I know everything about them.
Donc,
So,
Jaga et Madai,
Jagai and Madai,
parce que le Seigneur Chaitanya
because the Lord
Mahaprabhu,
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu,
il
Shivastaka,
faisait le kirtan.
he was doing kirtan every night
Avec tous ses associés.
with all his associates.
Il s'absorbait
And he was absorbing himself completely
dans des sentiments
in feelings
inimaginables.
that are unimaginable.
Et Jaga et Madai, ils étaient proches.
And Jagai and Madai, they were close, they were listening to the music and they were dancing like while drinking. They were in ecstasy. Because they were thinking that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was chanting for Goddess Durga.
Donc quand ils ont vu Mahaprabhu le petit matin, ils disaient oh.
So when they saw Mahaprabhu in the morning, they said, oh, you chant so nicely for Goddess Durga.
En fait,
In fact, these two Jagai and Madai, they're eternal associates of the Supreme Lord. As Jagai, as Jai and Vijay,
L'une des portes de l'entrée de Vaikuntha.
the porters of one of the gates of
Et
Vaikuntha,
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur dit
the gatekeepers. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said that even if they were in the material universe, they were still in their post at the same time, simultaneously. So the associates of the Lord, they can come in so many forms like the Lord.
Vishwanath explique.
Vishwanath explains this.
Et donc Nitai, il avait ce
And so Nitai, he had this goal.
je veux que mon Seigneur,
I want my Lord
il obtienne ce titre.
to obtain this title,
Donc,
Patita
il a
Pavan.
approché Jagai
So he
et
approached
Madai.
Jagai and Madai after.
Il a refait sa requête.
He made a request, the same request again. But then Madhai, he was really wicked with Nitai. Certain say that he broke the pot on his head, certain say that he threw the pot on his head. There are two versions. But, although the Lord cannot be touched by nothing, sometimes he makes appear things. For example, when Bhima is a warrior that can fight against a total army, millions of persons. It isn't conceivable. He was throwing arrows on, and they are like atomic bombs. And Krishna was receiving them like the kisses of the gopis, like an offering. We cannot understand these things. And because Krishna made the promise that he would not participate to the battle of Kurukshetra, but Bhima, he developed such desire that Bhima was defeated. And Krishna came out of the cart like a lion to kill Bhima. And when Bhima saw his Lord, Bhishma saw his Lord like that, because there were pools of blood. There were millions and millions of people that were dead. In 18 days, 640 millions. 640 million people were dead, but no war can do this because there are demigods who come to fight. There's something inconceivable. At night there were Rakshasas who were coming to eat the bodies like that. There were inconceivable fires that were burning all night long, and there were lakes of blood. And when Krishna jumped from the cart, he became red like a bull. And then Bhishma, he took away some. He said, I made the Lord break his promise to prove that his love for his devotee is more than his promise. So beautiful, so wonderful. This is why Nitai, he made blood appear. And as soon as Mahaprabhu, because what happened is that as soon as he hit Madai, Jagai, he had compassion. He said, what are you doing, Madai? Let him go. Why are you beating a sannyasi? It's so sweet. It's so beautiful. It's so sweet. What's happening to you? But Mahaprabhu, as soon as he heard that Nitai was touched, still in this age, he doesn't use any weapon. He came like a madman. Chakra, chakra. The weapon of the Lord came from the sky like that. And then, when they saw this, their mind changed. Jagai fell at the feet of the Lord. And Nitai said, Lord, you appear in this age to save all living entities. They're all like this. You will cut all their heads in this age. Is that what you want? You must be merciful. Look, Jagai. He defended me. Then Mahaprabhu, immediately, he left his anger to accept his compassion. And then he baited Jagai. He blessed Jagai. And Jagai became completely pure. He was crying. He was rolling on the ground. And the Lord even put his feet on his chest. And he became completely pure. And then Madai was taken. He was panicking. He was saying, oh Lord, you are the Supreme Lord. Because they are eternal associates, so he remembered at that time. But at the same time, it's a pastime, it is mixed together. He said, you are the Supreme Lord, more merciful. You must also be merciful with me, towards me. So Lord Mahaprabhu, he said, no, it's different. You hit Nitai, who is more to me than my own life. He is my compassion personified. Unless you receive his mercy and that he forgives you, I cannot give you my mercy. And then Nitai, the Lord Mahaprabhu told him, if you want to be forgiven, then embrace him. And then when Nitai, he embraced Madhai, he entered into the body of Madai. All his mercy entered into Madai. And he fell unconscious. And the Lord brought him back to consciousness. And it's very beautiful as a pastime, it's very powerful. So Nitai, when all the people saw, but Jagai and Madai became so humble, they were crying at the feet of all living entities. They became such wonderful beings, such demons before.
Et les gens commençaient à changer.
And people started to change their mind. They said that only the Lord can do something like this, or someone that is empowered by the Lord. It is not possible, such demoniac beings. So Gauranga Mahaprabhu is Patita Pavan. Patitai, what plan did he do? When people from superior caste that were saying Jagat Manai, they were bathing in the Ganges to purify themselves. His goal, his plan is that actually to accept Jagat Manai was even superior than going in the Ganges to get purified. They became so much pure that the living beings in Navadvip, they considered that simply by looking at them, they were obtaining the supreme purity. So, this aspect of Nityananda, it is so much important, it is explained. Oh my brothers, without the grace of a magnanimous personality like the Lord Nityananda, it is impossible to attain the divine service of love of Radha and Krishna and the kunjas of Vrindavan. There's no possibility. That's why the Lord Mahaprabhu, what did he say? In Chaitanya Mangal, I will deliver all the beings of India, but those who will escape my mercy, I will send my Senapati Bhakta. Nityananda Avesh Prabhupada. This is why we consider that Prabhupada is not different from Nityananda, because he was propheticized. And we see today, everybody accepts Radha and Krishna through his mercy, no matter where we direct ourselves, no matter our feeling, no matter our guru. But we received the grace of Nityananda first, and it's a reality. Whether we are in such region of the globe, in such disciplic succession, who came to save us? Who spread the glory of Nitai? The power to liberate the living entities. That's why, even the day of Nityananda, we remember the mercy of Prabhupada because it is indissociable, cannot be separated. We should always have this esteem, this appreciation. Because in the transcendental world, all the associates of the Lord are connected with the one and the others. Even if we approach a sampradaya, a lineage, where the feeling is same, they seem different, but in the transcendental world, everything is harmonized. When we obtain this transcendental form, we can appreciate everybody. This is Nitai. Nitai is present everywhere. In his masculine form, in his feminine form. He is at the origin of everything. He controls everything. And Radha and Krishna, they are simply actors of love. They taste one and the other completely. But who organizes this? All this is Guru. So when we don't accept the Guru, we cannot attain this platform. Because these feelings, the living entity, they are not available. Because it surpasses even our own imagination. Billions of moons. Already, what capacity do we have to absorb the rays of the moon? Most of us are not even conscious of it. We don't even know it exists, a ray of moon. It's true. When we're in a good disposition and we have a little bit of goodness, sometimes we can have an experience of the moon. But it is very far away, the spiritual moon. What to speak of the form of the Supreme Lord who is at the origin of the moon in the transcendental world. In the transcendental world, there's a sun, there's a moon, but they are devotees of the Lord. They impregnate themselves with the feelings of Radha and Krishna. And the rays are simply feelings that stimulate the feelings of Radha and Krishna, that stimulate the feelings of the Sakis, that stimulates the feelings of all living beings. When we go to the sun on the beach, we don't obtain feelings like that. You understand? Because it's not Krishna's world. When we obtain the mercy of Nitai, then we can have this experience in Krishna's world. So that is why we must pray. Nityananda, today is a particular day. We should take the opportunity to surrender to Him. Even if we don't have the power, on this day it can be given to us. I present myself at your feet and I pray to you with the tears of my heart, my incapacity. Save me. When surrender, well, even once like this, after Nitai does everything he's touched. I want to be a lover of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. I want to serve you, Nitai. I don't want to be a selfish person. I want to deliver also the living entities. I want to be your instrument. This is the mercy of Nitai. We are touched by compassion. We feel the suffering of living entities. We desire that they receive the highest, not simply bread or a good mattress. No. We want them to have a spiritual body and that they can be introduced in the abode of Radha and Krishna. Jai.